What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Kid Taj, and today we're going to be talking about the Carmelo Anthony situation once again, something I have to get off my chest, something I got to let you guys know about. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to leave a like, comment, idea down below for a video, subscribe if you're new. Let's get into it. So basically, over the past few weeks, and I guess months, I guess it's been that long of a time, Carmelo Anthony has been at the very top of all these trade rumors. You know, people were wondering what the Knicks could get for a guy like Carmelo Anthony, where they could land him, and they did make a big mistake in letting him take that no trade clause because Carmelo Anthony doesn't really want to get out of New York. That's the big deal with him. You know, he wants to stay in New York, and he said, I believe, at one point he was talking about how he only wanted to go to a contender. If he was going to leave New York, he wanted to be on a contender, but right now, I don't know if he's going to waive his no trade clause for anyone. Now, obviously, you guys know what this video is going to be about. I'm talking about why this trade isn't going to happen. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm 95-ish% sure. If this trade happens, I'm going to be so surprised. I'm not talking about like a specific trade. I'm not talking about like the Melo for love thing, or anything like that. I'm talking about, Melo getting traded. Melo not being on the Knicks by the end of this year, by the end of this trade deadline. He's going to be there, and I can probably guarantee that. Honestly, first of all, let's just look at the facts. Trades don't happen. We hear so many trade rumors. We can name a trade rumor about 20, 30, 40 players in the NBA. How many players really get traded each year? It's got to be like a single-digit number on average. It doesn't happen that much. We've only had a few trades this year. The biggest trade that we've had was Kyle Korver going to the Cavs, and that wasn't even a starting player. Kyle Korver is a bench player. We haven't seen any blockbuster trades or anything close to that. We did have a few other trades. I think there was a Roy Hibbert and who was it? I think Cody Zeller. Roy Hibbert and Spencer Hawes to Milwaukee for Miles Plumlee or something like that. That was pretty irrelevant. No one really cares about those guys anyway. And then I think Mo Williams to Denver, but then he was cut. Maybe there was another trade that I didn't know about. But it's like no one important got traded besides Kyle Korver and I guess Mike Dunleavy because he's actually still getting sufficient minutes. No one really relevant gets traded. So basically, we're talking about, Carmelo gonna get traded, Jimmy Butler gonna get traded, DeMarcus Cousins gonna get traded. There's plenty of other stars and trade rumors. We're hearing about Paul George to the Celtics a lot right now. There's a ton of guys that are supposedly on trade block, but really probably aren't going to get traded. That's the reason number one. And that doesn't just apply to Carmelo. That applies to all these stars. Yes, Jimmy Butler, DeMarcus Cousins, Paul George, and guys like those. We talk about, they could trade them to Boston or to Minnesota or Denver or whatever. You can name a bunch of teams and speculate and, make your own trade scenario, but there's like a 0.01% chance that actually happens. There's a ridiculously small chance that your trade scenario for a certain player is actually going to come true because trades are not easy to make. You got to get two sides to agree to something. Each side is going to try to finesse the other side. You're not trying to break even. You're trying to get more than the other guys. So yeah, that's another reason. Now let's talk about why it's not going to happen for Carmelo. On top of the fact that trades are rare and that it's never guaranteed that a player is going to get traded. You might think that at a certain point a player is definitely going to get traded. It doesn't always happen, doesn't often happen. It really rarely ever happens. If you see a player in trade rumors that player is going to get traded, it's not very likely. Now, why is it even less likely for Carmelo? First of all, he's got a big contract. Carmelo Anthony is a guy that is said to only want to go to a contender. Not a lot of contenders can afford Carmelo Anthony, and if they're going to trade for Carmelo Anthony, they have to match his value, which a lot of teams aren't willing to do. They don't have the pieces to do it. You might not have a lot of guys that you want to give up that can match Carmelo's salary. Usually you give away a lot of young guys for Carmelo Anthony, but teams don't really want Carmelo that much. A guy like Jimmy Butler or Paul George or DeMarcus Cousins have a lot more value than a guy like Carmelo Anthony, and there's tons of reasons why. All those guys are younger, they're better, more athletic, more versatile, more all around. They're just more valuable in every sense of the word. Carmelo Anthony, you know exactly what you're getting. You're getting a guy that's going to play the 3 or 4. He's going to be an isolation scorer, shooter. He's shooting the ball. Carmelo Anthony's there to shoot the ball. And if you need scoring, you're trading for Carmelo Anthony. If your team needs defense, you're not trading for Carmelo Anthony. it's hard to get a guy like that to fit, because Carmelo's, we know he's the number one option on the New York Knicks. We know that, he's the guy down the stretch of games. He's going to get the shots. We know that he's going to be the main isolation scorer when you're not running a play, when you're just bailing someone out of the shot clock. You know who you're giving it to. He's the best shot maker on that Knicks team. Now, I think that Carmelo Anthony, another reason why he's not going to go anywhere is because I don't really think he wants to. If you got an ideal trade for Carmelo Anthony to the Cavs, I think there would be some, I don't know if he'd want to do that even. I don't even know if he wants to leave at all. And it's getting ridiculous because now we're hearing about Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson doesn't like Carmelo, or, he's stubborn. Phil Jackson's very stubborn. He wants to run the team his way. It's his way or the highway, right? This guy has to get his way. He's using the, I've been around and I've done this before and I've won all these rings and I know the formulas and you better listen to me. Even though his offense doesn't really fit, the triangle offense doesn't really fit the Knicks roster whatsoever. Even though, his ideas, his philosophy isn't really at all working in this new NBA. It's not working with the team. Nobody likes him really. I don't know anybody that's really that's supporting Phil Jackson right now. I think that like 90% of people are like, Phil, what the hell are you doing in New York? Like, this is not working out. I've never talked to anybody. Everybody that I've talked to, heard talk about Phil Jackson in this situation, they're all talking about how he's screwing up, how he's got to just lay off and let the guys do their, I don't know. It's just weird. Phil Jackson, I don't know. I don't really have that much of an opinion about that, because I think it's pretty entertaining to watch the Knicks crash and burn. No disrespect to you Knicks fans, but I don't really like the Knicks. But anyway, it's interesting because, I don't think they're going to get rid of Phil Jackson. And Phil Jackson definitely wants to get rid of Carmelo Anthony, but Carmelo Anthony doesn't want to go. They're going to force him out maybe, because I think they want to rebuild. I think they know that they're not winning a championship with this team. They tried to build the championship winning team, and they're in the 12th spot. This team doesn't fit together. D Rose and Carmelo Anthony, they just kind of want to do their own thing, run their own offense. I don't think they really care that much. And Kristaps Porzingis, this is the guy you're supposed to be developing, that you're supposed to be running the offense through the most. In my opinion, he should be getting more touches than anybody, I think, because he's 7'3", can shoot the ball, he's lightning quick. And, Melo, I guess he could do his thing, but when you have Melo and D Rose, you're kind of shutting out Kristaps Porzingis. If you want to develop Kristaps Porzingis, and Kristaps Porzingis said himself that he doesn't want Melo to go, it's another reason why you think, Melo's going to stay, because I don't know if you get rid of Carmelo, if Porzingis wants you to keep Carmelo. He's the face of the franchise. Kristaps Porzingis isn't, he's the franchise player. Now, so I think I've gone over, most of this Carmelo Anthony. First, he doesn't want to leave. Second of all, he has a huge contract. Third of all, he's not the most attractive guy on the free agent market for good teams to get, because he's got to fit and he's got to be what they need. And good teams don't want to give up stuff because they're a good team, and usually they have what they want. They have it down. They don't need to make a move. And Carmelo will only go to a good team. He's not going to go to some middling or bottom team, because he can just stay in New York for that, honestly. So, the only teams we're looking at with Carmelo, the Clippers, the Celtics, and I guess the Cavs. And in that Wizards-Cavs game, they were talking like the whole time about how, there was a report that LeBron said that he wanted to trade Love for Melo, but then he addressed it after the game. They said that report was trash. And, obviously after Kevin Love dropped 39 on Washington in that game and really got them the W, I don't think they would have won if they had Melo instead of Kevin Love. You saw that inbounds pass to get LeBron the 3-pointer for the W. Carmelo Anthony wouldn't have made that pass. Let's just make that clear. I think they want Kevin Love there, and if the Cavs are getting Melo, they're gonna have to give up something else. That's the only way I see this working. Boston doesn't even want Carmelo Anthony. They're interested in a Jimmy Butler or a Paul George instead of Carmelo Anthony, because those guys, again, are better, younger, more versatile, more all around. I mean, they're more valuable in every sense of the word, like I said before. And the Clippers, I don't know if the Clippers should want him, honestly, because they need that small forward position bad. And if this might be their last year to challenge for a championship, because both CP3 and Blake can get out of those contracts next year. And I don't know if the Knicks want to I don't know if Carmelo wants to go to the Clippers, but you know that's to me that's like the only way it can happen. But I mean, you look at all like these constraints on this. Like I don't think it's gonna happen. I state my reasons. I don't think anybody really wants him. I don't think he really wants to leave. The only thing that's spurring this is the fact that Phil Jackson wants to get him out of there, and a lot of Knicks fans want to get him out of there. But yeah, we'll see how this turns out. I'd like to see a trade. I always love to mix up the NBA atmosphere, usually, most of the time. So yeah, let's see it happen, but I don't think it's gonna happen. Anyway, yeah, this is why Carmelo Anthony's not gonna get traded this year. I'm out. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.